a show planned for you. We have so many wonderful, talented, and funny women who are just dying to come out here and do their thing for you. So many of these women, in fact, most of them have performed with Lezwrites over the last few years, and we've chosen them because we've really enjoyed having them and their pieces, and that's why we called it the Best of Lezwrites. And with no further ado, I'm going to introduce to you our first performer. Her name is Maureen Bogues, and her piece is called My Own Private HMO. A very warm welcome for Maureen Bogues, please.
What do you consider your most private secret? The government's been snooping through our emails, weirdos contacting us on Facebook, and I have to ask myself, whatever happened to privacy? I was thinking of that recently when I got this letter from my HMO, which shall remain nameless, but starts with a K. I had been to the doctor for a shoulder thing, some kind of middle-aged malady, and while I was there, they made me get on the scale. Don't you hate that? Even you skinny people. You know why? Because they weigh you with your shoes on. And everybody knows the shoes weigh at least 5 pounds. Okay? My pants, that's another 10 pounds. 15 extra pounds. But do they subtract it? No, they don't. No. So I end up looking fatter on paper than I do in person. This is only the beginning of my humiliation at the hands of the HMO, however, because a few weeks later, I get this letter in the mail from 2 doctors I have never met. It says, "Dear Maureen, we care about your health. That is why we would like to introduce you to the Medical Weight Management Program. It is for patients like you who need to lose weight or more. What are these people? Now, I'm not, okay, let me be clear, I am not in denial about the fact that I am overweight, okay? I had this confirmed recently by a friend, okay, a friend with benefits, don't judge, a friend with benefits who was coming from out of town with a big suitcase full of laundry, and she didn't have any clean underwear. You know what a tragedy that is. So, me being hospitable, I said, "You can borrow a pair of my underwear." And she said, "But what if they're too big?" Well, I actually have some underwear that is smaller that used to fit when I was skinnier. What's wrong with you? But I didn't say that because I didn't want to start an argument because, you know, ruin the mood. All right. But what I wanted to ask the HMO is the same question. What is wrong with you? What marketing department, what genius, sends out a letter to anyone, especially a woman, telling her that she needs to lose 40 pounds? Now, I have to assume, at least I hope, I was not the only person who got one of these letters. Okay? So I must be smart over really well with the straight ladies in yoga pants. Right? And I don't even know why I care. I'm kind of butch, and I dress like my dad, and I'm apparently looking more and more like him. But here's the thing. First it was a letter, but now, okay, I think the HMO is monitoring what I eat. Spy cameras. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Because, you know, just a few weeks after I get this letter, I am at a party. It's outdoors, there's a picnic table, there's a big, large chocolate cake, and I'm taking a piece. Okay, full disclosure, it was my second piece. The first piece was small. It was not a full-size piece in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so I'm trying to get my piece of cake, all right? And then over here is a piñata. And this guy, big guy, steps up and he whacks the piñata, but instead of exploding, the entire piñata breaks free like a heat-seeking missile and lands right on the cake, inches from my plate. The message was clear. Put down the fork. Put down the fork. Now, okay, there was a spy camera in that piñata. The HMO put a spy camera in the piñata. I'm telling you, this is what happened. Is that a coincidence? No. But what am I going to do about it? Like, what do? I'm going to write a letter. I am my mother's daughter. My mom has written letters to every corporation in America, giving them hell for ripping off the American consumer. One time she wrote a letter to a potato chip company complaining that they had shrunk the size of the bag but kept the price the same. Yeah. Don't mess with my mom. Do not mess with me. So I write my letter. Dear Mary, why is the medical weight management program tossing around private patient information like party favors, invading my privacy? And since I am apparently your target market, I would think that my feedback would carry some extra weight. I actually said that. And I sent off the letter, and a few days later I get this phone call from Mary. Oh, no one's looking at your private information. Oh, no. That's just the computer. The computer sends it all out. And I'm like, did the computer put the information into the computer? Did the computer fold the letter? Yeah. Okay, now I suppose you're going to tell me that there was no spy camera in the piñata. But you're going to do that right now. Well, it's too late for me. I've already been humiliated by the HMO. But it's not too late for you. I can help you with my advice, okay? If you go to a party and you see a piñata, you walk away, especially if you're eating a second piece of cake.
Serving cake here today. Okay, next up is Molly Kelly. Molly Kelly. There she is, right here. And Molly came all the way from Washington, D.C. That's right. Jesus is my savior, and so is Molly.
I was 32 years old when I accepted Jesus as my Savior. Now, Jesus came into my life gradually. There was no moment of revelation or angels on high hearken at me. He was just there one day in my bed, in the middle, between me and my girlfriend. I was just coming out when I first met Jenny at a bar. She was standing in the corner alone, looking awkward and shy, and she eyed me up over her glasses as I approached her with a smile and a line. Jenny was not smiling, and it took me 3 Fridays in a row to get her to come home with me. Now you see, Jenny was my first real relationship, male or female, because most of my life I had been what I now heard people call the duff, which is the designated ugly fat friend. Now, I always thought I was best friends to the most popular girl in school, like Natalie on Facts of Life. I mean, right, there's some dignity in that. Who did Tootie turn to when she needed a shoulder to cry on? Natalie. But Jenny, she didn't care about any of that. She thought I was funny. And soon I was the only person on earth who could make her smile. Now, Jesus wasn't around yet. I mean, I knew who he was. I grew up Catholic, so I had a crucifix over my bed, and we had a painting of Jesus in the family room with a palm leaf tucked behind the frame. But I didn't know the real Jesus. Jenny knew the real Jesus. She grew up the daughter of an evangelical minister, so, Jesus was the boy next door, the man you would marry one day, always there to make sure you weren't doing or thinking anything sinful. So my first interactions with real Jesus naturally were with her family. Little things, right? Like being introduced as her roommate who she met in church. Or the hand-holding prayer circle we did every time we said goodbye. Or bigger things like her cousin praying for me in some strange language that I thought was Spanish. Later to have Jenny tell me, that's not Spanish, stupid. That was the power of the Holy Spirit. She was speaking in tongues. I didn't know. But you know, Jenny never really brought him home at first. Over the next few years, Jesus' involvement in our lives grew. Like at first, he just started to come over on Sunday afternoons, and it was okay, right? Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes without saying. He's a nice guy. He's Jesus. You know, so I learned to live with it. Like saying darn it or holy cow instead of Jesus Christ. That was easy. Or listening to my Melissa Etheridge CDs at work so that Jenny could listen to Christian rock. Or like never bringing up anything remotely political like evolution or Ronald Reagan because we get in some huge argument and I get the cold treatment for days. Now, it wasn't easy, but I did it every day to try to make it get along with her. By year 4, I would come home to find Jesus and Jenny curled up on the couch with a good book. And it started to become really clear to me that as Jenny's personal relationship with Jesus grew, ours was growing apart. And I wanted to just say, hey, look, Jesus has got to go. But I was afraid of what would happen if I did. You see, when Jenny was with Jesus, she was a lot happier. And it wasn't easy keeping Jenny happy. She was troubled, suicidal. She had highs and lows, sometimes laughing hysterically and kissing me, and the next minute lashing out in a paranoid rage. I never knew who I was going to get. But I hung on, even though her words cut, like calling me a fat dyke or saying she didn't love me. But I knew she didn't mean it, right? I mean, she was just testing me. She wanted to make sure that I was the one and that I wasn't going to leave her like everybody else in her life. And somehow I believed that at some moment she would wake up and she would realize it, that I was the one and that she would love me forever. Sometimes Jenny made my heart hurt so intensely, I knew, like, this has to be love. What else could hurt so much? By year 5, Jesus started to come into our bedroom at night. Now, it was perfectly understandable. I mean, every night we would get into bed, and Jenny would put on Pat Robertson's 700 Club. And that was Jesus' favorite show, of course. So he would climb in and get in the middle and lie between us with the clicker. Well, night after night, he started to doze off, and I didn't have the heart to wake him, just lying there looking all peaceful with that golden ring around his head. So I just kind of squeezed over to the edge to make room. Well, I was losing sleep, hanging on the edge of the bed like that, so pretty soon I just gave up and I went into the living room. A few months went by, and it was a Saturday morning, and I was folding up my futon, and I heard Jenny in the kitchen making breakfast, and she was in this great mood, and Jesus was nowhere to be found. We spent the whole day together, and it was just like old times, and by the end of the day, we ended up in the bedroom. We were only in there for about 5 minutes when Jesus walked right in without knocking. When Jenny saw him, she started to cry. I did not understand her. She was so full of shame. And I knew it was over. So I got up and I left the room. The next day, we finally had that talk that I'd been putting off for so long. I said, Jenny, I can't compete with Jesus, and we both need to be happy. So we agreed, and we started making plans to move out. The thing is that I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad that Jesus saved Jenny. He could give her something that I never could, no matter how many of her tests that I passed. But like I told you in the beginning, I was saved by Jesus. Jesus saved me from that terrible relationship. And he freed me to find the right love for me. And for the last 16 years, I have been with the most amazing woman. But I'll tell you, just to make sure that Jesus doesn't come knocking on this door, she's Jewish.
Thank you. I don't know why I'm thanking you, but thank you. Okay. Our next piece is called Condors by Lezwrites, one of our regulars with Lezwrites. And Karen Hurst and myself will be performing it, and Maureen Boggs will be doing stage directions. Maureen.
Okay. Condors by Lezwrites. Ava will be played by Marjorie. Karen will be played by Karen. The setting, a mid-upscale restaurant. They are seated across from one another. Dinner plates are empty and there is a bottle of wine on the table. At Rise, Ava and Karen raise their wine glasses together.
The third date.
And to many more.
They drink.
So,
You seem nervous.
me?
Uh-huh.
No.
Really?
No. Well, okay, well, just a little, perhaps.
Okay.
Oh, it's silly.
I'm on the second glass. I can take silly.
Okay. My friend Cece says that if there's a connection, that the third date is when it happens, if it's going to happen.
It?
You know, it.
Oh, it!
Yeah.
Wow, talk about applying the pressure.
Oh, no, I never really meant to do
Oh,
that.
no, easy, Hoss. I'm just playing.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that's true?
What?
Third date, it.
God, I don't know. I'm so removed from all of this. I feel like a fish on dry land who's been thrown back into the deep end of the pond, and I don't know whether I'm swimming or drowning.
Well, I was a lifeguard in high school, so you're good either way. Look, Ava, there's no reason to rush this. I mean, I'm willing to wait until at least the fourth date. But if we get to the fifth date and there's no action, I might have to bail.
Well, I thought you were a player.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh. There's a whole world of 60-something women out there just waiting for my call. If you knew how much ginseng I've had to consume just to keep up with the Hun, I should own stock in the company.
Must be tiring.
Oh, exhausting. Why, just tonight, before coming here, I did 4 shots of Red Bull. Mm-hmm. Well, I had to be ready. I mean, it being the third date. Well,
If I were being honest,
yeah, well, I found a third glass of Merlot helps considerably with that.
Karen pours wine into Ava's glass.
I just don't remember it being this difficult. I mean, shit, it's supposed to be fun.
Well, come on, I may not be the life of the party, but
No, it's not you.
Oh, it's not you, it's me line.
Aren't you, like, the slightest bit afraid?
Of what?
Being intimate?
Oh, it.
Yes, it.
I don't know if afraid would be the word I'd use. Are you afraid?
Well, as I mentioned on our first date, I haven't been on this horse for a while.
4 years.
Yes, since I was...
What's her name?
Exactly, and we were together 16 years.
But you were with other women prior to her.
Several, but all of them long-term. Unlike you, I'm not much of a player.
Well, we can't all be.
I'm actually very attracted to you.
Ava refills Karen's wine glass. Karen drinks. Pause. Karen and Ava both drink.
Did I scare the glibness away?
I didn't see that coming.
My testosterone patch must have kicked in.
Touche. If I were to be candid, I think the conversation turned real, and I'm feeling a slight loss of control.
Should I not have said that?
Oh, no, I love that you said it. I mean, actually it takes all the pressure off.
How so?
Well, now I don't have to worry about whether you'll pull away when I go to kiss you.
You worried about that?
A little. I mean, no one wants the first kiss to be rebuffed. The second, but the first, never.
Well, so how many dates would you have waited, for the kiss attempt?
I don't know. I mean, it's not as though it could be prearranged. It's more of a, right moment thing.
A right moment thing.
Uh-huh.
You don't have a clue either, do you?
Not a one.
We're both winging it.
Oh, yeah. Like two giant condors lost in the night sky. Starless night sky, no moon, no...
Two giant condors?
Yeah. They mate for life. And I am attempting to regain control using visual poetry.
Oh.
So, are we doing real or glib?
Okay, here's the deal. 3 years ago, I had a bilateral mastectomy. There were complications. As a result, I have scars. Terrible scars.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm 61, no breast, and I'm not well lubricated. And I have dry mouth. It's not funny.
I'm sorry. I just have this burning desire to say, I'm a leg man. Okay, that was not funny.
Are you?
A leg man?
Uh-huh.
No. What I care about can pretty much be summed up in 5 words.
5 words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tongue, clitoris, sense of humor.
What?
Yeah, tongue, clitoris, sense of humor, and not necessarily in that order.
That's all it takes?
Hey, not everyone has a sense of humor.
And you...
Me what?
You don't want to reveal something?
Not especially, no.
It's called sharing.
Oh yeah, the tit for tat thing. Oh, no pun intended.
You're making fun of my mastectomy?
Is it off limits?
Well, how can you make fun of it? I mean,
Because that's how we get through these times in our lives when we're just borderline crazy, maybe even suicidal, and the entire world goes dark. And humor softens the blows. It gives us perspective. And I would presume that since you had the mastectomy 3 years ago and you broke up with what's-her-name 4 years ago, that it played some part in the dissolving of that relationship.
how perceptive.
She couldn't deal or She wouldn't wait?
She was a breast woman.
They both drink.
Maybe I should go.
Why?
Well, it just seems that the tone of the evening appears to have changed.
The tone?
Do you know how to be serious?
Yes. Do you know how to have fun? Or have you forgotten? Are you going to allow what's-her-name to continue to have this hold on you? She's gone. Fuck her. I'm here. I'm the one who wants to kiss you. I'm the one who doesn't give a damn whether you have breasts or scars or... Check!
Okay, our next performer came all the way from Sacramento in horrible traffic. So please give her a very, very warm welcome. Tina Cates doing collard greens and sugar cane.
Miss Sugar Cane look good today. Well, see, her name is really not Miss Sugar Cane, but Miss Sally B. And she be the prettiest thing I ever seen. See, some folks call her mean and surly, but I think I know Miss Sally B's story. She's a gorgeous, beautiful lady, and I just want to say hello to her every time I see her face. You know, she came over to me the other day and told me she was cooking a pot of collard greens and wanted to get some of that special seasoning my mom used to make, but didn't give nobody the recipe but me. So I knew what Miss Sally B wanted, and I sure reckon it was a taste of my sweet sugar cane. You see, I know something she don't think I do. See, I have a crush on Miss Sally B, but she be acting like she don't be seeing me sometimes, but I seen her looking at my booty the other day. And instead of me walking away, I just turned and watched her linger over my big behind. She look at me, I look at her eye, her head now down and bashful, and before she could turn around, I seen her glaze over in laughter in her spirit. It just made me tickle. The day came when it was time for me to taste her greens. See, I put in some of that special seasoning my mama gave to me, stirred the pot, made that water just taste so good. And as she was waiting for the greens to cook down, I decided it was my time now. See, Miss Sally B been watching me for a long time now, and I knew in my heart I caught her out. I said, Miss Sally B, I see how you be looking at me. She spoke in a hard tone. Girl, what you talking about? What you mean? I said, Miss Sally B, you be looking at all my booty, you be looking at it up and down, and before I could say another word, she threw her head up in the air and said, girl, hush up with that nonsense now. I said, Miss Sally B, you don't scare me. See, I know what you want and what you need. Miss Sally B stood up and looked down at me. You could tell she was mad, angry. I said, Miss Sally B, please don't be mad at me. I just come here to fix your greens. See, I don't mean you no harm, but I just can't help it. I so badly want to be in your arms. Miss Sally B stood there and looked at me as she was thinking for a second before she said, girl, hush now, I don't need this mess. And before she could say another word, I undid the first 2 buttons of my dress. She got quiet and silent, no less. I walked over to the pot to give it a stir and kind of twirled my booty in her direction with this cute little seductive twirl. She just stood there silently laughing at me, and just quietly. I turned toward her and undid the rest of my dress and let it hit the floor. Oh boy, Miss Sally B couldn't take it no more. She said, baby girl, would you like a glass of lemonade? You see, I've watched you for many times and for many days. I cannot tell you how badly I wish to taste the sweetness of sugar cane between your legs. Oh yeah, it's hard for me to say, but at times I wish you'd come and stay. Oh yes, the collard greens was my open door to just let my eyes explore you more. But now knowing that you want me to, let me have that glass of lemonade, baby. The collard greens can wait. I want to make a meal out of you. Ooh-wee, Miss Sally B. You know, she touched my nipples nice and slow and sucked on my neck. I knew a hickey would show. She rubbed my body down and grabbed my big old ass. Ooh, Miss Sally B, Miss Sally B. The things she said and did to me. I never knew it could be so good. Miss Sally B cooked me greens every week and told me every night if she could. Unfortunately, some of our neighbors got curious and some even know and started harassing us from sun up to sundown every morning. Some even got mad and even threw things at us. Sally B came home one day with something dead in her mattress. Our time together was over, even though I adored her. Miss Sally B packed up her bags and moved to Memphis early this morning. I love you, Miss Sally B. Signed, your sweet sugar cane. Thank you.
Got hotter in here, didn't it? Yeah. Well, okay. Next up, Jenny Jetikin is back, and she has a new piece for us, How Obamacare Got Me My New C- Cups. A warm welcome, please, Jenny Jetikin.
Hello. Oh, this is working. Wow. When my girlfriend heard the news that I decided to get a breast reduction, she cursed the president on a regular basis. Fuck Obamacare, she told her therapist with a smirk. That's why I voted for Romney. Don't get me wrong, my girlfriend wasn't a Republican, but she became a bit unhinged that the Democratic administration might pave the way for me to downsize her favorite part of my body. With a petite frame of 5'3", my oversized double DEF, depending on the bra, breasts were typically disguised behind a well-woven sheath of cleavage-covering tomboy clothing. At 51, I fantasized about entering my twilight years free from the added encumbrance of my pendulous companions, which offered the Earth's core 2 additional vertical anchors from which to drag me and my spine ever downward. In high school, this started a long time ago, while flat-chested, I had developed a strong preference for boyish clothing, when suddenly my newly expanding chest wreaked havoc on my carefully cultivated David Bowie sensibility, popping buttons off my well-loved Oxford cloth thrift store shirts. We have been at odds ever since. Covered strategically by oversized sweaters for the next 2 decades, aside from granting occasional access to others on an intimate basis, my boobs came out once again when it was time to breastfeed after my first daughter was born. No one warned me that nursing, something I did for nearly 5 years in a row for both my daughters, would leave my breasts hanging out in a new southern zip code. When I came out as a lesbian several years later, I discovered to my dismay that my large chest was equally appealing to both men and women, but largely underappreciated by me, no matter which gender was doing the admiring. Plus, as I aged, my breasts took their toll on my petite frame. Chronic back and shoulder pain had me seeking a daily yoga practice just to make a platform for sustainability. And the final straw arrived when I was in a yoga class and my instructor asked me to model a downward dog for a group of 36, and I was holding the pose, and she said, look at her externally rotating her shoulders, and I just proudly torqued my torso into ever more perfect Adho Mukha Savasana poses, But later that day I felt unbearable throbbing in my fingers. A spinal specialist gave me the verdict: you'll always be in pain. Call me when you start needing cortisone injections, he sighed, showing me a depressing x-ray. He was wearing a t-shirt that said, "Quit now." It was about cigarettes, but he may as well have been subtly inducing me to give up on any enjoyment of life from that point on. That's it, I had declared while visiting my chiropractor, who had been attempting to heal me with a rotating series of new age contraptions, including home traction machines, spine hammering, realignment gadgets, and futuristic prism glasses for flat back reading in bed. I'm chopping them off, I said, sitting up from the table. My chiropractor gazed down at me through her slim A-cups and agreed. But getting a breast reduction takes time. First I had to get pre-approved for insurance coverage, which consisted of marching into the plastic surgery office at my HMO and taking off my bra. I stood there for all of 2 seconds before the nurse said, "Yeah, you're covered." "Can we pencil you in for next Friday?" Obtaining better coverage, though, through the Obamacare covered California, that was more challenging. I threw myself at the mercy of a middle-aged British health insurance agent named Mick in order to switch plans during the designated re-enrollment 48-hour window. Can't you please suffer through interminable government call waiting times with your $9 an hour pay, I pleaded, so that I can downsize my boobs before the Republicans get back in office? Several nervous weeks went by. Then finally it arrived like a gold ticket from the Wonka factory. A government-issued form letter stating that I would be bumped up to the gold plan in 2015, guaranteeing me smaller boobs at the palatable copay of $600. I picked up the phone and dialed the plastic surgery department. "I'm ready," I said with great urgency. A month later, I was preparing to go under the knife in the surgery prep room, and when the surgeon came over to my bed with a Sharpie in her hand to mark up my incisions, I suddenly pushed her to go smaller. "Can you make them a C-?" I asked, disregarding the promises I had made to my girlfriend. I had read that the only regret women ever have with reduction surgery is not going small enough. 7 hours later, I carefully patted my new, smaller physique, which was now minus 2.5 pounds of breast tissue. I went home to try on my tomboy aesthetic clothes that now fit me closer to the androgynous physique I had always envisioned. It was the very week that the Supreme Court had voted in Obamacare. The Affordable Care Act would now be untouchable by a higher court trying to repeal it. Somehow, in 1 year, I had earned the inalienable right to reduce my breasts for an affordable price and marry the woman who would fondle them.
Last in this act is Zoborkowski, back again with her wonderful piece called The Obit. Please give a very warm welcome to a very good friend of mine, Zoborkowski.
Thank you, Mark Friedman. This is the program that tells me whenever I am. Zoborkowski finally died at home. No family members or friends surrounded her deathbed. She was found with her arrogant, demanding, opinionated black cat purring loudly seated on her chest. It was feared that ancient myth had been true. The cat sucked her last breath. True to her nature, she held in her right hand the wellness letter of the University of California, from which she graduated with no distinction. She had feared death for the last 10 years and had engaged in yoga and aquatic activities, long, lonely walks, and ingesting pills too numerous to mention here. It was not her health, but the unsupervised relationship with her cat that had done her in. She was born in the Depression and matured in the frightening times of the McCarthy era. She suppressed the fact that she was radical and a lesbian. Many were the staff meetings where the staff shared their lives, and she talked of dates with him and what he said. Never mind sharing the secretive jaunts to Maud's, the Mint, the Broadway, hoping to cruise the girls with her attention-getting ability to balance on one foot on a beer can, bend over and to the floor and retrieve and light a cigarette. For 25 years, she administered a small private non-profit agency serving immigrants and refugees who were afraid of anything unusual. At an arrival party, she took what she thought would be historic photos of the refugees' first arrival. They in turn knew that she was with the CIA. The paranoia of the refugees was the bushel under which she hid the light of her hypochondria. Refugees suffered rashes and asthma and TB and rages, and she in turn was inoculated against every conceivable illness and suppressed her rage with chocolate. Regardless, she was loved by staff and clients until staff attorneys had nothing better to do than to start to litigate her out of a job. In the meantime, she was charged with being arrogant, demanding, and opinionated, just like her cat. In the retirement, Ms. Burkowski continued her social work practice of giving advice on every occasion. She was finally asked to stop. Funeral services will be held at the barge at the Sausalito Yacht Club, where there are adequate libations, and several blue heron can be seen this Saturday. The family asked that lesbians wear skirts. Flowers are encouraged, as well as gifts to the American Cancer, Lung, Dyslexia, Asthma, Alzheimer, ACLU, NOW, NARL societies. Please do not give to the Salvation Army. She found no salvation there. And although the arrogant and demanding and opinionated cat is assumed to be involved in Miss Borkowski's demise, the family does not mind if you give to the Humane Society. Miss Borkowski leaves Charlemagne, her beloved cat, in a house filled with flotsam eligible for a dumpster, which may be viewed the day after the funeral prior to respectful removal by the Mill Valley Refuse Company. Miss Borkowski is survived by 11,000 books, her deceased partner's family, her deceased sister's family, and a few odd relatives in the East Coast. All chose not to be mentioned by name in this article, but may be seen in future newspaper columns as the will is contested. Litigation ceremonies within and between family members are planned for the day after the funeral. For some reason, the interment will be in Colma, away from the few friends she had left in Mill Valley. For reasons that are obvious, there will be no memorial service. The body may be viewed in Mill Valley at Russell and Gooch, which is going out of business just after her service.
first act. We've all had a great time, and please enjoy yourself and have some libations, snackies. Okay, we'll see you in a few.